So today is our first day doing what's called modified straight dough. It has one variance over straight dough method in the fact that we have to deal with a high amount of fat and sugar and eggs. So here we go. When we do modified straight dough, we have our normal bread flour, but we also have cake flour. Remember from lecture, cake flour has more starch than it does gluten. So we're using a combination of, we want bread flour for gluten development, we want cake flour for tenderness, so it will absorb the moisture from the butter and the eggs. We have 8 ounces of unsalted butter. It's softened at room temperature. We have our non-fat milk solids. Remember, these are here to make a nice tender product. Look, we have 8 ounces of granulated sugar. We've never used so much yet in class. We have our eggs, we have yeast, and we have our water. Now, when I start mixing, the first thing we have to do, and this is where modified method comes in, we have to deal with the butter and the sugar. Now, we could do this on a machine. We have to cream this or blend this together, but it's not that large of an amount. If I was making, a couple hundred cinnamon rolls, I would do this step in a KitchenAid fitted with a paddle. But since I'm just doing this amount, I'm just gonna take my sugar, and remember how we phrase butter? I'm just gonna phrase the fat and the sugar together until it's a smooth paste. Stop. So this is now nice and smooth. So now I can go ahead and I can mix my cinnamon rolls as normal. So now all we're gonna do is go back to straight dough method. And cut. So let's start the makeup of our cinnamon rolls. I have my dough. I'm going to put a little dusting flour down, and this is cake flour again, a little bit on top. So let's start to roll this. And when we roll, rolling pin goes in the center, I go to the right. Rolling pin goes to the middle again, I go to the left. And now same procedure, center, up, center, back. This is how we're going to get a nice rectangle. And I'm just going to move this a little bit. I always want to make sure that I'm not sticking, because if the dough tears, then my filling is going to come spewing out. That's my culinary term today, spewing. So I want to roll this in about an 18 by 10 rectangle. And we're going to use our cinnamon roll paste that we made day 1. This is perfect. It actually has a lot more flavor than just putting in butter and then the cinnamon sugar. So you'll really like this when it comes out of the oven. So I'm just gonna shore this up a little bit. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna take my paste. It's nice and cold now, and I'm gonna frost this all the way to the edge. My dough is about a 1/4 inch in thickness. Now this is the filling that we're gonna use for sticky buns, if we're gonna do a coffee cake. This is a nice thing to marbleize inside of muffin batter. If you wanted to do a coffee cake muffin, this would be delicious. Now we're gonna do an American version of this cinnamon roll, and then when we get to laminated doughs, we're gonna do a European style. And the difference is, one is made with croissant dough and it bakes out very thin and very wide and very thin. These are going to be the ones kind of like you see at the mall, the Cinnabons. So it's going to be a little bit richer and much thicker. So here we go. Now I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to take and I'm going to just bend this, push it back, because I want the spiral to be nice and tight. And here we go. Now we're going to bake these quite large. So I have this, it's about 15 inches, and we're going to do it into one 8 by 8 pan. So I'm thinking I should do, what do you think, 5 or 6? I'm asking of my opinion, 5, okay. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a little extra. Okay, and I'm going to place this, I'm going to flatten it down a little bit. Press down. These are pretty big. we'll get our money's worth out of these, won't we? And here's my 5th one. And this one we'll just put right in the center. Now these are going to have to proof a little bit, and if I wanted to make smaller ones, I would cut these just in about a 1-inch piece and lay them on a sheet tray, and then I would proof and bake them. But these are going to have to proof maybe 30 minutes, so they'll go into the box, and then we'll come out. We don't have to egg wash these because there's enough butter and enough sugar that the Maillard effect will take over beautifully, and I'll have a nice brown crust. And when these come out, we'll be putting some flat icing on them. So these I'm just going to step aside, and we're going to let these
cinnamon rolls.
Okay, so we cooked these to an internal temperature of 200 just because they are so big. These are not for the faint of heart.
Look how big these are.
Now, these have been out for only just about 4 to 5 minutes, and what I'm going to do is put some flat icing on. So flat icing is nothing more than powdered sugar with a little milk and vanilla. Now, you could do a buttercream, you could do cream cheese, whichever one you want, so the secret when you're doing a flat icing is you want to make sure to pour this on the cinnamon rolls when they're still warm. That way it melts into all the crevices and it goes down the edge and it kind of melts in the spiral.